Hello everyone, Tall Stephen Paul back here with another project that I did. I built a garage workbench and I'm going to show you my finished product. I'm going to show you what I did, things that went well, things I could have done better, and maybe you'll be inspired to build one too, so stick around and I'll show you how I did it. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment or a question, share it with somebody. And don't forget to subscribe to Tall Stephen Paul and hit that notification bell so you know when I publish new videos. Thanks very much, and let's get to it. I did not video myself making the whole project, but I did take some photos. First, I created the two side frame pieces attaching the 2x4s to the 4x4s, and that's how I started. Then I just added the two short 2x4s to give it the depth. I used my small square to try to assemble everything square, but as I explained later in the video, didn't come out perfect, but I have a solution for that. As you can see here, I added the 4 wheels. I also made it a custom height of 40 inches, which is 4 inches taller than a standard kitchen counter height. I made it taller because I am pretty tall, so it's perfect for me. Obviously, you can customize it to whatever height you prefer or make it adjustable. Then I simply added some cross support. And here is my dog Secret keeping me company for all my projects, obviously fascinated by my work. Then I added my 3 6-foot 1x10s for the top. Then I removed my 3 1x10s because I decided I wanted a nicer top, which I will explain later in the video. Here is the final product. I think it turned out pretty good. The rest of the video is going to be explaining things I could have done better and explaining in detail how I did everything, so stick around for that. Also, I just want to give a shout out to my dad who taught me how to use tools when I was a kid. So I thought of him a lot when I was making this, and that's pretty cool. So here are the details on how I did it. So here we go in no particular order. First thing is, I got a particle board top, nice and smooth. Let me back up even more. At first, I had this for the top. These boards were the top. You can see where I had the screw holes here. I was following a video that this lady had made. She made something similar. So I bought these 1x10 by 6 foot, put them on top, screwed them down, and then you can see there's like a little lip here, a little lip over here, so you don't get a flat surface. And that bugged me. I thought about trying to shim them and do all this stuff, but then I thought, well, I'll just move those down to the bottom. Doesn't matter as much. So they were screwed up here, unscrewed them, re-screwed them down there so the bottom can be a little bit not as nice. And then I have a perfectly smooth top. So it is the size it is, 28 inches deep, 6 feet wide, because the 1x10s were 6 feet. And once I had the frame made, I didn't want to change the top. Plus I wanted a nice big top, so I figured bigger the better. Another thing about the top, and I got this idea from the lady I was watching in the video, got a 2-inch overhang, so I can put, if I need to, I can put a C-clamp on there and clamp things down. So I did leave that overhanging a little bit all the way around, because you never know what direction you're going to be. Over here on the screws, I only did 4 screws to hold down this top, because I figured that would be plenty. It's pretty heavy, not going to go anywhere. I know they have the countersink drill bits, but what I did here to get this flush was I took a pretty large drill bit, can't remember the size, but the largest I have in my set, and I just carefully drilled like down about just like that deep, like hardly any, just to get enough room to recess that screw head. So that's nice and flat. Right, that's the top. For the legs, I actually have a front and a back to this. And this is the front. And you might think, what's the difference? The difference is I tried to put the very best looking side of the wood of the 4x4 on the front. And So those look really nice. One thing I didn't think of, because I brain faded, was the outside, which is the worst. Which again isn't a big deal because it's a workbench, but just kind of bugs me because I could have taken that for the front and that for the outside. Then that way the two outside sides look nicer. Once I had it all screwed together, I wasn't going to like take it all apart. These are 2x4s, of course, under here, and I just put 2 screws in to the 4x4 to hold that up. And I'm going to flip it upside down and we'll talk about some other stuff. One more thing on the top before we flip it around is this is, like I said, about 28 inches by 6 feet. So I bought a 4 foot by 8 foot sheet that they cut down. If you wanted a smaller top, smaller workbench, get a 4 by 8 sheet, cut it in half, and then you would have 24 inches by 48 inches, and then you could just use that for the, you know, one half for the top and one half for the bottom. But like I said, I wanted it big, and I already had the frame made when I went to get the top cut. Anyway, just a thought, if you wanted to make it a little bit cheaper, I'll give you the total cost at the end. Alright, so here we have it flipped upside down. Just want to show you how I framed it. The top, I put a little bit more support, putting 2 2x4s in there. Plus I thought I had the 1x10s in there, so I thought they would need more support. And then on the bottom I just have the one going across here. Can obviously do more, but I think that will be sufficient. But that's the frame of it. And then for the wheels, I went with pretty big ones, fairly large. The reason for that is I plan on rolling it in and out of my garage, and when you have to go over door jams and things, it's easier with bigger wheels than tinier wheels. They get stuck easier. So I just went ahead and got bigger wheels. All 4 of them have a lock. On the video that I was watching that kind of inspired me to do this, the lady only did a lock on opposite corners. But I found, like, when I put this together, and if I lock just the opposite corners, it's not as stable. It kind of tends to jiggle and move a little bit. So it just seems more sturdy and stable when all 4 are locked. Plus, I couldn't find ones that don't lock in this particular style anyway. So they all lock. All right, the other thing is, when I went to assemble this, is I have a small square. Every time I went to put some corner together, whether it was not so much those in the middle, but like here, building the frame and the whole side piece, I used my square. So as you can imagine, it did not end up being square when I was done. I set it down the ground, and it was, you know, had like about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16 that it could wobble from corner to corner. So what I did was, and for those of you who are OCD, you're not going to like this, I'm sure. I just went to one of the wheels that was too low, and I loosened up the screws, and I put a shim in there, which this is basically a paint stirring stick, and put that in there. So I shimmed that up, so now it does not, the table does not wobble at all. It's perfectly flat, or stands perfectly flat. So the shim worked, but for those of you who have maybe the correct tools, larger squares, I don't know, but it worked out fine, and I don't think you can notice 1/8 of an inch tilt. You know, if you can, then you're amazing. The other thing I found, you can see this one here. This is obviously not going to bite very well on screws, so these are too short. So you can see how that's even a little loose, which I just found out right now when I flipped it over. So I'm going to get much longer screws of these to go into here, because it's not very tight. It strips out easy. So this was the first one I did. I put all the screws into the 4x4, which again makes it weaker. On all the other ones, I put 2 screws into the 2x4 because that's much more solid wood, and you know, again, it just doesn't bite as well going into wood that way. So I do need to get some longer screws, probably a couple inches maybe, so I can get that pretty deep. These are only probably about that deep. So these two came loose, partially from me flipping it upside down and around, but I am going to turn this, which I did on the other three. So 2 screws go into the 2x4 and then only 2 go into here, and then these 2 are going to go a lot deeper. Make sure I get as good as bite as possible. And it rolls easily. I can't give you a total weight, but it's actually not too heavy. In my opinion, 2 men, maybe, well, I guess 2 women could probably lift it up if you had to, and move it. But there's that. So that's pretty much the whole thing. If you have questions, you can put them in, and that's just the whole thing upside down. And I'm going to show you one more thing I did just to have a little fun. And I put my name and date just outside the frame. But I thought it might be fun, and I just wrote built in my garage, my city where I live. I put the temperature, my dog's keeping me company, the total cost, which is $209.02. It would be cheaper if you did not get the 3 1x10s and just got the 4x8 particle board and cut it in half. But that's the cost of this. And I just wrote, whoever, whenever, wherever you are, hope it works for you. It might be funny, 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now for someone to read that. And so there you have it, a completed workbench. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and I hope it is helpful in some way for you. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with a friend. That'd be great. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Tall Stephen Paul, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified when I publish new videos. Now, all I need to do is come up with a project to work on my workbench. All right, you guys take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time on Tall Stephen Paul. Bye.